Hi, this is May.
And I'm Joy.
Welcome to the QWERTY Writing Life podcast, where we have candid chats about our creative lives.
May and I are friends, writers, and creatives who want to share our endeavors out loud.
On this podcast, we're here to encourage each other, and you too,
and share tools we've discovered or made up.
So you can follow your passions with a little support. So grab your tea
or your coffee,
and let's get started. Hello, everyone. It's another week.
Hello and welcome.
This week is our interview episode. These are some of our favorite ones. And today we have Camille Myrick with us. Joy, can you read her bio for us and let everybody get to know her a little bit more?
Absolutely. So Camille Myrick is a full-time author and mom from southern Mississippi. She has contributed work to a wide range of online journals, anthologies, and blogs, including how-to articles for the nonprofit literacy program National Novel Writing Month, one of our favorites. When she is not busy posting behind-the-scenes videos about her writing process on YouTube, she can be found chasing field mice in her kitchen.
Welcome, Camille.
Thank you for having me so much. It's so good to be with y'all today. Wait to have a writing chat with you.
Yes, we are so thrilled that you're here. Thank you so much for joining us. Before we dig into the interview, let's talk about our creative weeks. Camille, what did you do?
Oh man, well, since my husband is now working out of town and I'm doing everything, kind of managing it on my own, I have just been dabbling in every kind of arts and crafts thing a stay-at-home mom could possibly do. So I've been doing like embroidering, I've been working on my rewrite for my novel, obviously. I read a ton. Read a ton. And I have some beads coming to me from Amazon later this week so I can make some jewelry. I don't know. I'm dabbling in all of it, keeping myself occupied right now.
Yeah, I love that. I actually do a little bit of jewelry making too. So if there is, if you have a little extra, it's not too much money. It's called a wig jig. It's one of my favorite jewelry making tools. And so it's like a pegboard, and you can put these little pegs in there, and then do some wire wrapping, and you can make earring hooks and just little things like that. It's so cool. So listen, if you don't want to buy one, you can borrow mine and see if you like it.
I would love that.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's do that.
Okay.
That's awesome. So, Joy, how was your creative week?
Oh, so my week has been interesting, a little bit different, always something new, right? But I will have to say that my creative week has centered around this cool, nifty little thing that I got in the mail. Actually, I didn't just get it in the mail. We actually ordered it. You know, it's not like it just landed in my mailbox or something like that. But it's called the Remarkable Tablet, and it is truly remarkable. It is one of these things that basically replaces pen and paper, and it actually does. Like, you know me, you know how I like to use pens and paper, right? And how, like, snotty I am about it. This actually, I am. I really am. I'm totally snotty. This is so like pen and paper. Like, it's insane. I don't know if you guys can see this or not, but this is it. This is my paper, and this is my pen. And so it is just like writing with a ballpoint pen. They also so you can do anything. Like, this is literally going to replace every one of my journals, all of my planners, all of my note-taking things, all in this one little handy dandy thing. And it's not connected to a bunch of apps and stuff like this. This one is specifically for writing. Like, that is its entire purpose. And so it is amazing. Yeah, I'm totally in love.
Hey, will you put a link in the show notes? Because I kind of want to look into it too.
Absolutely.
Yeah, for real.
Now, I will tell you guys, because you're going to look at the price tag and you're going to be like, oh, well, Joy's rolling over there. I'm not really. But we got the refurbished ones, and we have the Remarkable ones. So they're Remarkable ones, and now they have the twos. And I don't really know all the differences, but I mean, this one is, oh my goodness.
So do you like save after you write your journal thing or whatnot? If you're journaling, do you save it like with the date? Where does it go? Like, does it just stay on the tablet?
It part of it stays on the tablet, but you also have an app to where you can put it in the cloud. Basically, you have like this little Remarkable app is where your storage is, and you can connect that to your desktop, to your phone, to whatever, and so then you can pull it off of there. It also, like your handwriting, it actually will read your handwriting and turn it into text, and it
That is
works.
so cool.
It is
That's so
insane,
cool.
guys. Like, I was really skeptical, but my husband's handwriting is a little bit sloppier than mine, so we tested it with his because he got one too, and it translated it perfectly. I was
I'm digging it.
amazed.
Wow.
I know.
I will be looking at that.
Mhm.
Plus, for you artists, they like you can draw some amazing stuff. Like,
What?
yeah, it's
Camille.
pretty.
I could start like little book cover, mock-up on
Yes.
there.
Little
That'd be
doodles.
cool.
That would be so cool. So I got the Neo because of your videos, Camille, on YouTube.
Yes,
I
you love it.
did. I do love it. My favorite part about it is when you plug it up to your computer and it starts like typing out what you've
I
written in
know.
there.
It's so fantastic.
It's
And you can
so
sit there and
cute.
read it back like quickly, like you're skimming
Mhm.
your stuff. And so it's like a whole nother review. And used to, like when I was in the zero drafting phase and I would be downloading these files every night, off the thing. I don't know if they know what an Alpha Smart Neo 2 is, but it's like
Oh yeah.
it's an offline keyboard that it has 7 or 8 documents, like separate files, and you just type directly into it, and that's it. It's just distraction free writing tool, and then you transfer it to the computer. But I would sit there while my file was going into my Scrivener, my Word document, and I would take notes, like edit notes on my plot because I was watching it like be read back to me, and it was so neat. So I'm so happy that you got one and that you love it. I'm the biggest spokesperson for Alpha Smart Neo 2. Absolutely love it.
And for anybody who's interested in getting one, they're not selling them new anymore. They used to use these as word processors in school before tablets and computers got so cheap. So what you can do is find one used, and you want to make sure that you get one. If you get one with the cord, I wanted to get one with the cord because I didn't want to have to fool with it, but I have heard that a printer cord will work with it as well.
Mhm.
But it's really cool. It runs on like AAA batteries, and the batteries last for like 5 years.
Yeah. I've only changed mine once over the past year, and I've had it for years. So, and I think the batteries were already low when I got it because I'm sure it's been sitting in the storage closet for over a decade by the time it made it to my house. So, yeah,
So now I'm gonna get a refurbished tablet because of Joy, since I have
yeah.
my Neo because of you. So,
So there will be no excuses whatsoever to not finish our projects because we'll have so many tools. At least that's what I always tell myself. But
which is actually kind of a perfect transition into my creative week because I finished a manuscript. So
congratulations!
So I did. I finished my poetry. Actually, I got my second critique from Joy, and I finished those edits, and I wrote a couple of more poems, and so now I have a finished document that is going to the formatter soon. So
Oh my gosh, how
Yay.
exciting!
it
I
is
love that. I love that.
So exciting.
so, and that you made your book Paper Daisies, and I'm actually going to be making my book Grief Like a River. So we have something in common.
Yay! That's awesome. Are you gonna be doing artwork for it and stuff?
I am, and maybe I can talk to you off air on how you did your artwork, but I'm just like pen and paper in it right now.
Yeah, literally,
So
that's what I did. When I sketched Paper Daisies, um, I had a pen and paper, and it was a sketch this big. This is the original sketch.
Oh,
Literally, like nothing to it at all. Like the colors were not even that vibrant, and it's tiny. And so I held the paper under a good light, took a picture of it, put a filter on the picture, then the back is the same daisy but with like a distortion
yeah,
on it.
I see that. Uh huh.
So that way it all matched and everything. But
It's
yeah, I
so
was like
good.
really just experimenting and just putting it together as I went. So you can make book covers out of a lot of things, and pen
Yeah.
and paper. Like I tried scanning it, and um, that didn't necessarily work for me. Like my phone takes really good pictures, so I just took a picture of
Mhm.
a picture, and then like edited the picture.
Yeah. So since we're talking about this, can you tell us when did you start writing and what got you started on this kind of crazy poem novel journey?
Oh man, okay. So I think I wrote my first poem when I was 6 years old. I picked up reading pretty quickly as a child and started writing very shortly after the death of my biological father, and was expressing myself that way. And it was a couple years after my dad had died that I was probably 7 or 8, and my mom told me, she said, "Did I ever tell you that your dad was a poet?" And I was like, "No, you didn't actually." And so, like, that moment solidified it for me because
Mhm.
I had naturally come into an affinity for something that, like, forever connected me to him.
Mm.
And I just couldn't be stopped after that. So, so in the sixth grade, I wrote a poem and submitted it to Mississippi Young Writer Showcase, and I won first place for my division, and that was like my first paid publication. And from that publication, I got nominated to serve on the advisory board of Creative Kids magazine, which was like an international creative writing magazine, and I served there for 2 years and published a handful of projects through there. And so that really like skyrocketed my career in a way because I always had that to look back on and be like, look how much I did so early, you know? And but then it was like 10 years I didn't write anything. And I lost a lot of confidence about poetry and just writing because I really wanted to write fiction novels, you know? So when I got to college, I pursued journalism, and I signed up to write up like op-ed articles for the student prints, and I did that for 2 years, and I really excelled at doing that. And so I was like, well, maybe this is the direction I should go instead. And so I pursued journalism for a long time, probably about 3 years. I think I wrote journalistically, and I had contributed stuff to like Dime magazine when they were still printing, which are discontinued now. But in college, I made the decision. I said I will never go another year without publishing something because I had gone so long without publishing. And so every year since 2015, I've made a point to publish something. And for 2020, I had Paper Daisies come out, and this was like something I did on my own. And then I also had a short story come out in an anthology called A Flash of Words. And yeah, like it's just been I got to keep this going because this is like my everything. And interestingly, like I'll just like open up and be vulnerable about it, but like I had a lot of bipolar going on, and I wrote a lot about bipolar in this book. Um, I was writing these poems starting when I got married, which I got married very shortly after my 20th birthday. So it's basically 15, like mentally, you know. And so I was processing a lot of like big girl stuff.
Mhm.
And I
Mhm.
was like, what do I do with my life? Like, I can do anything in college. Like, I could have any career. And I changed my major probably like 8 or 9 times. Like, I was in pre med, and then I was in journalism, and I was always doing the journalism in the back, but like, I couldn't just stick with one thing. And my husband finally just like sat down with me and was like, what would you do if there was no prestige attached to it and money was not an option? What would you do? And I'd say, I'd write. And from that point on, that's what I've been doing. So that's kind of like a abridged version of how we got here for sure. And
Yeah.
by 2020, I was a mom. I had my son in, was it 2019? Oh my gosh, so long ago. I cannot believe it's been that long ago already.
It's been 87 years.
It's been maybe 4 years. Yeah, I know.
Whatever that Titanic.
And I can still smell the fresh paint. Yeah, don't get me started. I can quote every line in Titanic. Don't get me started. So yeah, I was a mom by 2020, and I was like, I really want to just put a period at the end of the sentence and like memorialize that first 5 years of my marriage. And I just finished drafting my first ever novel, and I was aching to just focus on something.
Mm-hmm.
And so I got out this manuscript for Paper Daisies, finished it, put it together, and released it within like 4 months.
Mm-hmm.
And now we're here.
Yeah.
You mentioned.
I'm sorry. Go
I'm
ahead,
sorry.
Joy. No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was just going to say, you mentioned the poems that you wrote that deal with bipolar, and I will tell you that those were some of my absolute favorite ones in here.
Really?
I really, really love those.
It's a mania. I'm telling you, like, it gets the juices flowing in a way nothing else.
Yeah.
Well, and you used format so well in those poems too. At least in some of the ones that I can remember off the top of my head.
Yes.
It's like the way that you positioned the lines of the poem really did visualize that back and forth. Yeah. I loved it.
Well, thank you. That's because Emily Dickinson was like one of my biggest inspirations growing up. Like, she was a recluse. I'm a recluse. we are kindred spirits. I was like, I loved how she used punctuation. And then I think it was, I can't remember the author's name, but they were really popular books when I was in middle school, like the Crank series. And it was Helen Hopkins. And she completely just broke all the rules with formatting. And so when I read that, I was like, I was more focused on like the formatting than it was a story in those books. I was just like, wow, like how she goes back and forth, and she's writing 2 poems at the same time. Like, oh gosh, so incredibly creative. I loved it.
Tahara Mafi did that for me with the Shatter Me series. Have you seen that?
No, but I have seen so many people review the Shatter Me series, and I have no idea what it's about, so I haven't picked it up.
Well, it's YA, and there's some people who don't like YA, but what I loved about it was she's writing, like the narrator is the main character, and she's writing out her thoughts, but she'll censor herself, and so every few lines will be crossed out, and then she'll say it like how socially acceptable. And it's really cool. And so as the series goes on and she grows confident in herself and in her abilities and who she is and all that, there are fewer and fewer lines crossed out. So it's really cool.
Oh my gosh. Oh, how neat. I love that. I have to read that now. Have to.
Yeah, even if it's just for the study of it. Like it's a good story. I thought it was a good story, but also that blew me away. And her use of analogy is really, really phenomenal too. So
that's great. Yeah. Put it on the TBR.
Sorry, I interrupted.
No, go ahead.
Joy and I both also have journalism backgrounds. I only have it in college. I was a co-editor for the lifestyle sections for a brief moment in time, but Joy's been in journalism for like 20-something years.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I loved it. That's where I got my start. I loved writing news. And it was funny that you said op-ed, because I so loved writing op-eds. Like, I could totally do that for the rest of my life, I think. But
for the normies in the crowd, that means opinion editorial.
Yes.
Thank you, girl. Thank you.
It means whatever the hell I want to say.
For all the muggles.
For all the
muggles.
It's my opinion. Yes. It's my opinion. Oh, Lord. I just memed. That's horrible.
Well, so do you have a favorite poem or a poem that you think might epitomize your book that you could potentially read for us? Could we encourage you to do that? I'm going to read along. I've got my
Yes.
book.
Okay.
This is so much fun.
This on page 92 of said paper daisies. Okay. This is called The Stag. I used to think that I was a wolf, digging claws into the mud of a soggy October garden, slipping and begging for winter, but I am not a wolf. The wolf was the thing banging a fist on the door, howling from a swing hung out in the yard, a vile, hateful thing, violent for sport and aimlessly searching. I used to think I was the sun, consuming myself from the inside out, blazing and flaring on impulse. I thought the only way to burn was to shine at midday, loud and overbearing on every delicate thing underneath, but I am not the sun. The sun is him, a finale to my recklessness, obliterating everything before our point of origin. The sun is a boy he planted in my soil who arrived screaming in awe at the capability of my body. I used to think I was a bud, tender and easily wilted, a victim of the innumerable grasses, just a speck of color on a busy canvas, but I am not a flower. The bloom is a fantasy. I am not fragile, or a faceless being on the landscape. A bud is the part I played before I knew I was a tree. Not a pine, not a spindle or a shoot. I am old in my center with so many rings. A live oak pushing the roots out. My steady strength is an adversary to the ground. And I am a full moon rising, a single lamp burning in the window at midnight. I am hands busy at the witching hour, spinning threads and winding them like a web around this house. I am not a wolf. I am the empress of these shadows. I am the thing with horns, a crown of bleached white bones weighing heavy on my head. I will not be mounted on the wall.
Chill bumps.
So good.
The reason why that sums it up is because the first poem in the book is talking about how I was kind of just blown away by nature because I had moved from the city into the country, and my husband was like, look at all this beauty, look at all this nature, look at the woods, and oh baby, look, there's a deer. And I'm looking at this buck with like this gorgeous head of horns on him, and I'm just like, wow. And his response is to like, well, we need to like drop and pack that thing.
It's like, we gotta eat it.
We gotta eat that thing. We gotta turn that into jalapeno sausage. And I'm like, how could you possibly, you know? And so the line in that first poem is, in some realm of the wood, he was a king, but now he's mounted on the wall. Such a something thing. Such a he's mounted to the wall. What did I say?
It was a year ago.
Common thing. Such a common thing. And I was like,
for a king. Yeah.
Yeah, in some realm of the wood, he was a king. Now he's mounted on the wall. Such a common thing. Like, something that was beautiful got diminished into house decor.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, that's kind of how I felt. Like, I was this really vibrant person, and I came into a culture that just obliterated everything that I thought was beautiful about myself. Mm-hmm. And it was like the bipolar came and it diminished the self-esteem and it tore my mind to shreds, and I was just like, I'm weak, or I'm angry, and that's all I am. All I am is angry. All I am is weak, and I thought I was all these things. And then it's like when I found my strength, it was like, no, I am ruler over these woods, and I will not be mounted to the wall. So that's like the whole point of Paper Daisies is the journey from I don't belong here, I'm just a sore thumb, oh, whammy, to being like, I'm taking control, like I'm starting a legacy with putting together all the broken pieces and making my own like empire on it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, girl.
Yeah. So I studied paper daisies, and then it was like I had my baby, and he bust me wide open, and now I'm writing poems and stories about motherhood. So that's a whole nother kind of finding yourself.
Yeah, breaking down and building back up. It absolutely is. Yeah.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Wow. I had postpartum depression after my kids, and so I feel you with the bipolar coming in, and like you're questioning yourself and all the things that you used to be able to trust about who you are. Like you're questioning all of those things. It's like, am I crazy? Am I not? Am I strong? Am I weak? Who am I today? You know?
Yeah,
And
exactly.
so yeah, I feel that, and I'm sorry that you had to go through that, but I'm so thankful for this.
I understand that postpartum is no joke. I don't
No.
ever want to hear anyone be like, "Oh, she's just hormonal." I'm like, no, I have the violence of motherhood running through my veins.
That right there, that's a line you need to put down.
Yes.
Violence of motherhood running through my veins.
There's nothing more violent than being a mom. Like, it's just like I will to shreds anything that gets between me and my child. Like, that's all there is.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I was surprised at the violence that came along with it, because I'm a very non-violent, non-controversial person, and there was anger in me all of a sudden with all of my postpartum, and it just shocked me to the core, and that some stuff that I couldn't control. So, and I have always been in control. Like that was the thing that I'm good at, is controlling myself.
My worst was being in traffic and having my baby like in the car seat, in the back seat, and someone driving like stupid around me. I'd be like, I will track you down to your house. My child is in the car. You need to respect the fact my baby's in this car. Like, I would just be going off. And there'd be tears in my eyes. I'd be so enraged. And I'd just be going off on that person all the way home. Like, still thinking about it when I went to bed that night. Like, how dare they put my child in danger? You know, like, it's the next level. Biology going on.
So when you do that and they get a little bit older and they can start speaking, and then they repeat the things that you've said about those drivers, then here comes a whole nother level of shame. So get ready for that.
My son today stumbled and fell, and he goes, "Oh, Jesus." And I was like, no.
I am praying when I say that, baby.
You better be saying, "Oh, Jesus," like, help me, Jesus. You better mean it. Oh, yeah. It's a ride.
They are not perfect, but we love them, and that's what matters.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm curious, you have this theme. You came from the city and you move out to the country. Why did you choose poetry as the best medium to accomplish it? And I know that you told us how important poetry has been to you since you were very young, and now we know why. But could you see this theme coming through in any other sort of medium?
No, I don't think it would have worked, because this was a real-time project. So, like, the first poems that I wrote, I was writing them in real time. Like, and almost all of these were written on a typewriter that I had plugged in on, like, my dining room table. And so I would put a piece of paper in, and I would write something out, and then I'd stick it in a file and leave it. And I did this over the course of 4 to 5 years. So I would never be able to go back today and capture what I felt then, because I have so much more perspective now. I would be writing it from the point of view of, this is what really was happening. Now that I'm more stable now, like, writing it in the unstable frame of mind made it what it was.
Mm-hmm.
It made it hit with a thud on the page, like boom. And it has that impact. I don't think it would have that impact if I had tried to like write it out, because poetry, like that's all I had energy for, because I was so rattled all the time. So I could only write in these small little blips, and only when I was inspired, which is not great when you want to like do, like work, like release work. But for that, it was the best thing for me. And I've always found that poetry is the best way to punch a reader directly in the face. Like, it's just, you can say so much with so little and say it so fast that it just takes your reader off guard. And poetry makes me cry. Books don't make me cry. Poetry makes me cry because it's like, it's lyrical, it's punchy, and that's what emotions need. That's what I feel emotions need. They need poetry to be like expressed. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do. I think that some of my favorite poems are the ones that kind of like encapsulate a moment of emotion, and I think that's what yours do too. It's like, it doesn't matter if this is right or wrong or relevant or irrelevant. This is the feeling right now, and here it is on the page.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Yeah, I think that you could probably go back and plot a really good novel with this kind of theme, but it would be in retrospect. It wouldn't be.
Yeah.
It wouldn't have the rawness
Yeah.
that your poetry book has, I think.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Great answer.
Well, thank you.
I know. I feel so like blessed to be here with two poets, and it's National Poetry Month. I'm like, this is like the coolest thing ever.
Is it National Poetry Month?
It is April.
It's my birthday month. Oh.
When is your birthday?
April 30th.
Oh, mine was the first.
Yours is April 1st?
Yep.
Oh my gosh!
Feel free to edit that out. No one needs to know when my birthday is.
Oh, you're 21 anyway.
That's true. I am.
So you're querying now, right?
About to be in June.
Okay.
Is the timeline.
Can you give us a little teaser about your novel that you're going to be querying? Or is it like super hush-hush?
Well, it's not. Well, I've shared a lot about it on YouTube, probably more than I should. But it is basically about, it is, okay, let's see. Let me think. Where's my elevator pitch? I'm sure I wrote it down.
Where's your 30 words with a period?
It's about a woman who is invited to run the most impossible ultra marathon, and like no one's ever finished it. It's a 120-mile trail race in the Nantahala National Forest, and she wants to be the first winner of this race. However, there is some Southern Gothic stuff woven in. There's her parents are dead, but her husband doesn't know that because he thinks they've been dead for a long time, because she has just done everything she can possibly do to disguise the fact that she came out of the trailer park, basically. And so she's living in California now, living the suburban housewife life. But someone on this trail knows exactly who she is and is not going to let her get out of the woods until she admits and confesses to all of her sins. And that is kind of like my blurb. So
What? That sounds amazing.
It's so exciting.
Well, thank you. I really love it. I really love it.
Mm-hmm. I love it too. That sounds so great. I will totally read it.
Yeah, it's got a lot about mothers and generational curses, and like there's family drama. There's, she's like being rode hard and hung up wet out there in the woods. It's not going to be easy on her. I can tell you that.
So what's some of your inspiration for the Southern Gothic? Like, do you have any authors that you really love?
Yes. Okay, so first, Daniel Woodrill, who did Winter's Bone. He did, that's not Southern Gothic, but it's folk horror.
That broke my heart, by the way.
Oh,
Winter's Bone.
that is one of my favorite books of all time.
It broke me.
Yeah.
So sad.
It is sad, but it's fun, isn't it? It's fun.
Yeah.
I'm like, if your meth lab explodes in your book, I'm gonna read it. Like, I absolutely love tweakers. I love tweakers. Like, and I have stories. Like, I had to research recipes for illegal substances for research for this book, and like, there's been drama. All right,
the joy of being a writer.
Yep.
Yeah, I found actually I found like a full. I mean, it could have been written by Rachel Ray. Recipe on a rehab site, and I literally called them and was like, "What are you thinking? Are you trying to get people in like the door? Are you financially like struggling right now? You gotta take that down." But I did copy and paste it before. So yeah.
This is writers, y'all.
Yes.
Our search history is questionable.
Yes. Okay. Yes.
So I need a T-shirt that says "Don't judge me by my search history."
Yes. So David Woodrill, he was the Holy Grail. Next was Gillian Flynn with Sharp Objects. Oh, hit it out of the park. Oh, let me some Gillian Flynn. Donald Ray Pollock, who wrote The Devil All the Time. The Familiar by Amy Engel. That was a fantastic, like, folk. Oh, I should tell you, I write folk horror. Okay, like, I write dark backwoods country horror books. Okay, that's like my genre. This is cute, but I'm a I'm a dark fiction writer for sure. I love, and I just fit more easily into the Southern Gothic voice, like, because there's just something magical. There's so much hoodoo and like superstition in the South. It's so much fun to play with. Like, I love it. I don't know what they're superstitious of over in the Midwest, but corn. I don't know. So I'm like, I know about gumbo. I know about the swamp. I know about the gators and the chicken bones. Like, I'm all for it. So that's what I write, and so that's what I love to read. I love folk stuff. I love horror novels and thrillers and stuff like that. No, once in a while I'll read something mushy gushy. Every once in a while we get some going on. I'm looking at my bookshelf. I'm trying to spot Hillbilly Elegy, J.D. Vance. Fantastic.
I've heard of that. Yeah.
Yes. Hell in the Heartland. That's actually a true crime about, like, appearance out of a trailer park, and there was an explosion, and that, yeah, like, fabulous. The Current by Tim Johnson. I love wildlife thrillers. Like, anywhere where someone's gonna be faced with nature in some confronting way, that's so fun to me. So
yeah.
I could talk about this all day, so I'm gonna just end my list there.
That's cool.
See, I've got a giant list now of all these books that I have to read, so thanks for that.
Read them. Yeah. They are so good.
Joy played around with some Southern Gothic this Halloween. She wrote a short story that was really chilling.
Oh,
about angels and demons and like being kidnapped and like.
Oh my God, to me. Seriously, you have my email, girl. Just
yeah. Oh, actually, I'll have to send you a link. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've got a reading of it. Like I got to read it for my library. It's
Oh,
crazy.
fun! That's awesome. What do y'all write? What genres? I know you write poetry,
Mhm. Yeah,
but
I write poetry and women's fiction.
women's fiction.
Hmm. And
And
Joy, I'll let you say.
Southern fiction and fantasy, and one day I'm going to do historical fiction. I've done a little bit in there, but
Ooh,
yeah,
awesome.
I want to do some children's stuff too
yeah.
eventually, but that'll come
Yeah,
a little bit
same.
later. I've already got the ideas. I've just got to be able to initiate. So
Yeah.
that's fun. And I like the magical stuff too. But
Mhm.
I'll tell you that I'm very like Jane Austen as far as happy ending, redemption story, like because
Don't buy my book.
like this is like I will buy it because I like you. But
Just put
but
it
I
on the
also
shelf like an ornament.
yeah. Yeah, seriously. But I will also read it too because I'm that friend. So but yeah, I just feel like, life has so much turmoil in it for me anyway that I need like a little bit of escapism. And so that's kind
Mhm.
of what I like to find in my reading. And so it's also kind of what I want to provide for readers too, who might need
Yeah.
that too. So I think there's so much validity for all kinds of literature. So no like judgment or anything, because your book's gonna be great. You know?
Well, actually, I had not like accepted or identified myself as a dark fiction author until the past year when I started looking at all my story ideas and I was like, wow, okay.
There's a
We're
thread.
we're following a theme here. But honestly, I think where it comes from is never wanting to be blindsided. Like, I am a type A person. If I can slice and dice it and dissect it where I can see every part of it, I'm not scared of it anymore because
Mm,
there's nothing unknown. And I think that's why I write dark fiction because I'm like, I like to go to the depths of human nature and be like, what is really out there? Because that's what's scary about horror is that if you've read it, it's probably been done somewhere. If you can think it, someone's gonna do it. Someone has probably already done it. You know what I'm saying? And with postpartum anxiety, that's all I thought about 24/7 was the worst case scenario.
mhm, mhm.
And so for me, like I cope with trauma by just fictionalizing it. And then I'm like, okay, done with that. Don't ever have to think about that again. Like this is tormenting me. I must get this out.
Mm.
Okay. We're healed now. Like I
I love how you
have
can
control over
pinpoint
it.
that though. Like
Yeah.
you can pinpoint that, and I want to write escapism because that's what healed me
Yeah.
whenever I was coming out of that postpartum depression. So
Yeah.
that was like my relief. So that's what I want to write. So that's so interesting that yours also comes from a place of healing for
Yeah.
you as well.
People
Uh,
like yeah, process things differently and I don't know fully the reason why it works the way it does, but
there it
like
is.
yeah.
Mhm. Joy, do you know why you write? Like why you want to write what you want to write?
I don't know. I think I haven't. I don't know. I don't think that I've gone deep enough in my psycho whatever. Yeah, okay, so here's the thing. Like I can psychoanalyze myself all day long and it gets to a point where it can get really bad. But I think that I do need to think more about that, like why I write certain things or why I want to write certain things or why certain themes keep reappearing.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
so yeah, I think I need to
You
do
crave nostalgia?
Ooh,
possibly, yeah,
that might be. Because your
possibly.
fantasy book is very nostalgic to what you loved to read whenever you were young.
Yeah, that's true. And a lot of my like my historical that I've done and my fantasy is very based in Scotland and both actually in the same time period. So I think that there's a part of me that's very drawn to that. My great grandfather came from Scotland, and I know that this sounds completely nuts, but and I've never been to Scotland, but I swear I feel like there is a part of my heart somewhere in that country, and one day I'm gonna get over there and I'm gonna find it.
Oh,
But like that part, like I get why I'm naturally drawn to that, you know.
Yeah.
So and then
Nostalgia automatically infers comfort. And so, like, I know that there are projects that I've worked on because I wanted to create like a whole place where I could go just live in a moment and I
Yeah.
could live in there whenever I wanted, you know? So when
Yeah.
you talk about writing historical and writing Southern Gothic, especially, and or that type of thing, it makes me think of I want to go back here. Like this is a place where I like to be, and I just want to come back here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that could be it. So Joy, you have homework.
I do. I do. I know what my QWERTY challenge is for this week.
Search your soul.
So, well, if you're going to be querying, that means that you're going to be a hybrid author since you've self-published your paper daisies and you're querying now. So, is there one or the other that appeals to you more, whether it's self-publishing or the traditional route?
100%. Traditional publishing definitely is an industry that I am just head over heels in love with.
Mhm.
I love every single tier and level of the industry and how it works. Like, I'm fascinated by it. I love the querying process. I love how publishing houses themselves work. And, like, I don't know. I don't know what it is. I think it's probably goes back to walking into a bookstore as a kid and like being like, wow, these books, all these books, like, and knowing that like my book would be there with them, whereas Paper Daisies is limited. And that's fine because I didn't want it to be widespread. I wanted it to be something very intimate. Um, but I don't think that I would even call myself a hybrid author because I don't plan on ever self-publishing again. I mean, like I could, especially like poetry collection. But I feel like saying, "Oh, I'm a hybrid author," it's almost like saying I'm putting equal effort into both sides. And honestly, like 100% of my effort goes to traditional. I write to market, so that's controversial in and of itself. But like write to market, like writing what you know will sell.
Mhm.
Like I'm very passionate about my stories and I can put a spin, but I also have a knack for being like, this direction with the story might not have as strong of a hook as this direction goes. And I have no problem whatsoever, like moving elements around and just making it the best it can be.
Mhm.
I love thinking about books as a product. That's why, I had my hands in every single bit of the production of this because I love the graphic design, I love the marketing, I love all of it. But I am a mom, and that hat, all of those hats are heavy.
Yes, girl.
Sis, oh my gosh, they weigh my head down where I can't even get out of bed. I'm like, that's so much. It's so much. You know what I'm saying? And in order to stay on top in the self-publishing world, you need to release like once a quarter, and that's not going to happen for me ever. So, I'm like, I'm good if I can just like get up and brush my teeth in the morning, throw it up in a ponytail and go, like be presentable. I'm like, I'm not gonna put like a schedule too far in my future. I need to focus on like the writing process itself, do what I'm good at, and let a team of people handle all the rest. So that's why I'm very much passionate about traditional publishing. And I want a movie. I want a movie. I would love for my novel that I'm doing right now to be made into a video game. How fun would that be? I mean, they have the connections to make that happen.
I mean,
I dream big. I'm like, aim for the
if
stars.
Grand Theft Auto can be a video game, surely this book could
Yeah, yeah.
be
It should
something.
be a video game. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Oh,
So tell us how your YouTube situation and writing, if they work well together, or why you enjoy being a YouTuber because you do have a
mhm.
fabulous channel.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, that is a venture. It's a platform. I built that specifically for myself as an author. So everything that I've ever done on that channel has been mindful of my goals and where I want to go in the future. Um, it's common, like everyone I know on AuthorTube, they have seasons with it where they're like, I really need to step away and focus more on my work. But it's so incredible to just have a place where you can go just like air out. Like, I'm at a block, or this is my process, or I just want to be around like minded people. So I love that. And I'm currently like on a semi hiatus where I'm not posting regularly at the moment because I'm like, until I finish this rewrite, like nothing else can matter, period. Like I've just got to get this out of the way. But after that, like I would love to talk about querying and blog about querying, and I see that that's a lot of how author tubers work. They're like, I'm gonna go away and do my work. Okay, I'm back. Let me tell you how I did it. Like, so YouTube has been fun. It's a creative outlet that's not writing, that still scratches like a little itch to like give me something productive that I can do and I can feel satisfied by it. There's like immediate gratification with people commenting and interacting. So it's a fabulous like confidence booster, especially. So people who want to join AuthorTube, it's a very welcoming community, and you can find writers in every sect of every goal and finish line. Like you can find someone to work with on there for sure. And it's just great to like chronicle your own journey and let people know who you are. And for the longest, I think for decades, authors have been very much in the shadows. Like we read their books, but we don't have a lot of idea of who they are as people unless they write a memoir. So YouTube and social media has become like a way to connect and build a relationship with boundaries,
Yeah.
with those readers. Yeah.
So it sounds like they go kind of hand in hand. So like
Mhm.
your YouTube fills the well and then your writing kind of empties it and then you kind of go back and forth.
Yes, that's a good way of putting it. Yes, absolutely.
I love that. I love the way you put that. That's so cool. So, did you have any fears when you first started the YouTube channel, like about just getting on there and talking to who knows who?
Yes, definitely. The thing that I was most self-conscious about was my southern accent, actually. Um, I was very self-conscious of saying too much or saying the wrong thing. Like, I never wanted to say something emotionally because I have a problem with like myself. I'm a very like reformer. I get very like fired up about things. And I'm like, I'm gonna be the front line in your march, like in your mob, like I'm going crazy. Like, where are we going? Let's do it. I got a pitchfork. Let's go. So like I can get like jump to say things. And as I've matured, I've been on YouTube for almost 4 years now.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Sporadically, but more recently over the past 2 years, like really, you know, frequently. I've learned how to discern what to say and when. So that was originally my thing. It's just being aware of my own weaknesses, like my own personality faults. I was like, I don't necessarily want to have a faux pas in public, like it's better if you just process this, but it's hard for me because I'm like, oh, I have a platform, I can reach people and say something.
Well, something that I love about the podcast is that Joy and I actually get to kind of articulate the things that are going on in our head in this amorphous cloud. We get to put words to it and labels,
Yeah.
and it all comes out, and it's also recorded for posterity and also for ourselves whenever we get old and feeble and we want to re-listen to all of this stuff.
Yeah.
But I love that about the podcast. And I wonder if that's the same thing with your vlog. It's like, one day you're going to come back to this and you're going to be like, I can't believe I was scared of this. Or look
Yeah.
how far I've come from point A to point Z.
Yeah, it's been
So,
very weird, especially over the past 6 months, because at first I was just like a little fish. And I was just like, no one really watches me anyway. And, so I was a lot more easygoing, and people didn't take me entirely seriously because they're like, "Oh, what's that hillbilly over there got to say?" You know. And she's from Alabama. I'm like, Mississippi, okay.
Well, I'm from both, so.
And then it's like there's this weird psychological marker in people's minds. It's like once you move from having a couple hundred subscribers, once you pass that 1,000 subscriber mark, all of a sudden they're like, the guru must tell us what to do. And I'm like, no, 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 no. I'm
Hillbilly,
just a
remember?
hillbilly. I'm a hillbilly. Okay. I'm like, I don't know. No, don't ask me. I'm like, no, it's funny. And then it was like, people, oh, your accent's so sweet. It's so endearing. You're just like a little Southern belle. And I'm like, oh, really? Yesterday I was from Alabama. And today you're like Scarlett O'Hara. I'm like, oh my God. It's weird. So now that I'm like in a comfortable spot on YouTube where I'm established, I have an established channel, I can walk away from it. I don't feel weird about it. And I'm like, when I come to YouTube, I know exactly what people who subscribe to me want to see. They just want to see me write. So, I mean, I'm like, when I get back to you, I'll get back to you, and it'll be writing. But just sometimes I got to do that behind the scenes too, you know.
So do you have any tips on juggling everything? Because we've talked about being moms, the work, the everything. So any tips?
This is gonna be hard to hear, but you're gonna have to sacrifice some things. Okay? Real talk. You can't do it all, and you can't have it all. Or you can either have it all or do it all, but not both. So you can either have I watch 8 hours of Netflix every day, or you can devote some of those hours to cleaning your house and writing your book. It's like, it's really all comes down to, and this is different for every person. It doesn't actually matter where you fall on, where writing falls on your priority list, as long as you know priority number one is this, and writing falls somewhere on this tier. You got to know where it ranks. You got to know what you're willing to sacrifice, and you'll make it work. So, for instance, my house is a wreck because I would rather write a book than I would clean. Who wouldn't rather write a book than they would clean? I'm like, I have like one day a week that I like speed clean the whole house because I'm like, I have to, whatever. I don't watch TV anymore. And that's because me and my husband used to just do nothing but watch TV. Now he's out of town. And I'm like, I got all this time. There's no time to waste, you know? So it's not like that all the time. There are days when I don't do anything, but just I watch my favorite show. I work on this. I work on that. I do other things. But it's because I have a clear idea of where writing falls on my priority list. I know I'm not ever wondering. I have it clearly defined. And I think something about goals and dreams that make them feel so out of reach is that they are not defined, and they are very loosely categorized in your mind. So you don't really have a clear path of how to get there. So once you identify things in your life, you'll know how to manage your time better. And it doesn't matter if writing is your last priority. It doesn't make you any less of a writer. It just means that you can stop hating yourself for not spending every second writing. You say, it's okay if I write 30 minutes every week. That's what you need to do. You know what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't matter. There are writers who work within a wide variety of schedules. It's when you try to fit yourself into someone else's box, or a box that doesn't fit you, that you become miserable, burnt out, and feeling like hopeless, like you're never going to get there. So that's my biggest tip in juggling it. Organize it first.
Oh, that's so good. That's really, really good, Camille.
I was like,
It and it falls in line with like what we believe together as like the QWERTYs,
mhm,
is define it and figure out how much you're going to sacrifice. And you can't have it all. You're going to have to give something up. I haven't watched TV in a really long time either. So,
yeah.
but there are
But over
things
the past few weeks, I had to say, okay, YouTube's it's in the way now, and like as much as I love and I mean I absolutely head over heels love doing YouTube. I'm like, they will survive not seeing me for 2 weeks.
well, and
Okay.
that's the thing too. Like once you prioritize, that doesn't mean you can't reprioritize in 2 weeks.
Right.
Like if your family needs to come first for a little while, then that's what needs to happen. And
Yeah.
then if, because we just had some deaths in the family, so we had to cut Joy was so kind in putting 2 past episodes that we had done um, for the last 2 weeks. And so you will be our first live episode, like fresh episode
That's so
since
fun.
then. I'm so excited to be able to come back with you too. But and Joy actually had to make me make this decision because I was like, no, I can do it, Joy, I can do it. Like snotting
Yeah.
everywhere. I can totally do this. And she was like,
Yeah.
no, May, I'm gonna have to put my foot down.
Yeah.
So,
Good for you. You're a good friend.
yeah. Yes. So, but that doesn't mean that, we get to now reprioritize this coming up week and say, you know what? The podcast is going to be important. Writing is going to be important. Getting this poetry book finalized is going to be important. These things. And
Yeah.
then next week, if it's a hard week at work, then maybe work is going to have to come above writing for a little bit. So I love that. I love the organizing,
Sometimes you'll
be
choose
organizing.
to write like you're working, and sometimes you'll be like, I'm just writing for fun right now.
Mhm.
Like, this is my fun time. Or you'll be like, I'm sitting down and working. Like, I got my coffee, I got my good pen, everything, and it's like, it's just how you frame it in your mind, like even thinking about your story and just devoting some time, like while you're driving in the car to brainstorm, that's still moving you forward,
Sure is.
and
Absolutely.
it's like, I think we always get more done than we give ourselves credit for. And, if you, my habit, my end thought, like my conclusion, if you just write down like what you accomplished every day,
Yeah.
and you're like, you can look back and be like, oh, I haven't been doing nothing for a week, actually. I've been doing a lot of stuff, because it's the writer guilt. That's the
Mhm.
worst. And it's a liar. It's a liar.
Mhm.
You've been doing more than you think, for sure. So just
Yeah.
write down every day. Just be like, I brainstormed about my story. I fixed the plot point while I was thinking. Haven't written it down yet, but I at least worked it out. And then you're like, oh, well, I've done more than I thought I did.
Well, Camille, that's actually perfect because we have kept you over an hour and it was just so much fun to talk to you. I kind of didn't want to let you know that it was time to go. So my bad.
Oh, thank you so
But
much for having me.
at the end of every episode, we do a QWERTY challenge, and I feel like that's kind of perfect, isn't it?
Yeah. That
So
is my QWERTY challenge. Every day this week, write down what you accomplished. And if you can at least accomplish one thing every day, you're ahead.
for real.
You're ahead.
Yeah.
Yes.
So Camille, where can we find you on the internet?
You can find me on YouTube at youtube.com/Camille Myrick, CamilleMyrick. And you can find me on Instagram at Camille Myrick. You can find me on Facebook. I'm Camille Myrick, author on Facebook and Twitter. I'm bad at Twitter. I post weird things on there. But if you like getting weather updates from my local town, and not yours, if you like pictures of tornadoes that hit me and not you, follow me on Twitter at Camille_Myrick. So yeah, it's my name everywhere. If you look around, you might find what you want to find and maybe some that you didn't want to.
Well, to close us out, what's your favorite snack?
Oh, my favorite snack. Watch it. Oh, Lay's Original. Okay? I have a picture of Lay's original potato chips in my bullet journal because that's how much
Oh,
they
that's
comfort
hilarious.
me.
Oh.
Yes.
That is so sweet.
The salty crisp. Oh, Jesus. Hallelujah. I love it.
So
Love it.
I used to put Lay's original potato chips on top of my pimento and cheese sandwich. And girl, it is like game changer. It's really, really good.
Oh, sometimes I crave. I call it my chip sandwich.
Yep.
Like a deli sandwich and put the chips on it. Oh my gosh,
The best thing. Stick
so
those
good.
chips in
It's
that sandwich.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Make one of those things that you do this week. Buying a bag of Lay's original potato chips. Okay, life changing.
And write down that you did it.
Yep.
Might burn the skin off the top of your mouth, but you'll have a great time. So salty.
They're really salty, but they're yummy.
Yeah.
Well,
awesome.
Camille, this has been wonderful. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank
This
you
has
so
been
much.
perfect.
Thank you so much for joining us today, audience members. And if you think about it, if you like this episode, just feel free to give us a ranking or a rating. That's what they call it these days. A rating on iTunes or whatever your host provider is. We would love to see that you are enjoying what you're hearing. And in the meantime, we hope that you have a great week.
Yep. Have a great week, and we will see you next time.
All right. And go make something. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening until the end.
Seriously, you're a trooper.
Do you think QWERTY writing life is the bomb?
May, you just said the bomb.
Don't you censor me.
If you think QWERTY writing life rocks ice for real,
Oh my word.
please rate, review, and share us with others.
If you have questions about this week's episode or want to start a conversation, you can reach us by visiting QWERTYWritingLife.podbean.com.
We'll be back next week with more candid chats for you.